Also, I apologize in advance if I get a little salty on some of these. What can I say? We're doing a list of things that bug me, so I'm going to try and stay as positive as possible. Hi everyone, my name is Kayla and welcome back to Kay's Hidden Shelf where we talk about books. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 bookish pet peeves. These are things that just agitate me or annoy me with books or reading habits and so on. So I wanted to share these with you. It's been mulling in the back of my mind for a while to put this video together. And mainly the reason I haven't done that so far is that I try to keep the content positive, but every now and again, it's nice to share these things and see how everyone's own personal pet peeves are different versus their own reading habits. So I just want to share this and maybe we can just share in our pain together what annoys us about books. So if any point in this video you find a pet peeve that I have that you have, or maybe one that is a pet peeve for me and something different for you, leave your comments down below. I am looking forward to hearing what everyone's pet peeves are with books and how we differ in them. Let's go ahead and dive in with the first one, and that's permanent stickers. This will forever bug me. Why take a beautiful cover and put a giant permanent sticker right over top of that cannot be removed? Put a sticker on there that I can remove and we're fine. And you still get your little advertising, but why destroy beautiful cover art? Why cover it up? A lot of people buy books for the cover, so I just don't understand it. But yes, this one will forever bug me. The second thing would be front covers with mismatching lengths to the rest of the book. So this front cover does not come all the way to the end of the pages here. It's slightly short and it has a giant hole in the middle. I know this is a stylistic thing, however, it bugs me to no end. One, because I am far more likely to destroy the front cover of this book when I'm reading it just on accident because there's a giant hole there. But also, when I am reading the book, this front page now becomes really annoying because it slips and slides everywhere. Whereas if it were a full length, it's less likely to do that. So yeah, just mismatched front covers or holes and weird designs in the covers like that where it's just not flush with the rest of the book. The third thing is actually a reader habit, and you can do it to your own books. That's perfectly fine. But if I'm lending you a book or I'm buying a used copy of a book and it just irritates me, that's dog earing. I can't stand dog earing with reading. I know a lot of people do it, perfectly fine for your own books. I refuse to do it to my own books. I just want to keep my books in as good condition as possible. Yes, things happen to my books, and yes, I deal with it, and it's fine, and it's a book, it'll be fine, but I will not go out of my way at all to dog ear any page of my books. And so when I buy used copies, for example, and a bunch of the pages are dog eared, I will deal with it, but it is that thing that will secretly grate on me as I'm reading the book. Number 4 would be non-existent cover art. A good example of this is Jade City by Fonda Lee and the trilogy itself. It's just not eye-catching to me. It's something that had an opportunity to be a really cool cover design, and they just went with massive text and some fancy lightning bolts and designs. It's just not my cup of tea, unfortunately. But yeah, it feels like a missed opportunity to me, and I'm just far less likely to pick up that book or series off the shelf in comparison to all of the amazing cover art that is out there and in competition with it. Let's put it this way, if there is a movie or TV show adaptation of said book, I would much prefer to see the movie poster on the cover of that book than just the text. And now don't get me wrong, the inside, the writing, the characters, the story, it could all be incredible. And this is the whole don't judge a book by its cover, but it still grates on me. It feels like a missed opportunity. And when it comes to buying books, physical copies of them, putting them up on your shelf, a big part for me is the beauty of the book on the outside as well. That's a big part of the reason why I spend as much as I do on physical copies, is because I do want to come in and reminisce about a book I've read while also admiring the beautiful artwork. And again, it just feels like a missed opportunity. Number 5 is one I think many people also have a pet peeve for, and that is mismatching sizes or designs in a series. This is when you get books 1 and 2 at one height and book 3 comes out and it's a completely different height or size compared to the first few books in the series. Or, as I've seen Patrick talk about in his videos as well, the Ken Liu's Dandelion Dynasty, where the final book had a completely different design on the cover. Those are things that really, really great on me. And if I'm ever uncertain about a book being published in a consistent manner, I will wait until the series is fully published in order to buy physical copies, because it's an investment. It's an investment that you are making. And if I get that last book in a series and it is not the same design or height, no, can't do it. Number 6 would be stiff bindings. There's no gift to this. How do I read this without breaking the spine and damaging it completely or just struggling to read it? I love floppy books. Just for a comparison here, you saw me do the whole, this is a floppy book. Look at that. That is gorgeous. That just falls open when you want to read it. When instead you have something like this that won't even flop open, you kind of have to break the spine to get in there, which I did have to do for this one. And I guess that would fall into the same category as creased spines on books are also another pet peeve of mine, and probably why I don't like stiff binding. Number 7 would be mismarketed books, and this is just when it's advertised as one thing and in actuality it's something completely different. An example of this is one I've talked about on the channel before, and that would be The Wolf of Oren Yarrow by K.S. Filosolo. Don't get me wrong, there are readers for this. This is good in its own way, but it was completely pitched in a very different light than what I ended up getting, and so my expectations were way off when I went into this, and of course it didn't land as well as I was hoping as a result. Let me just read the top tagline on the back of this book so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. They called me the Bitch Queen, the she-wolf, because I murdered a man and exiled my king the night before they crowned me. Not only that, the reviews all peg this as a strong female character that I was thinking I was going to be reading a character or story like Orca from The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, or Misaki from The Sword of Kaigen, those kind of strong female characters. It's also pegged as an epic fantasy with lots of action, tension. This queen is not beloved by her people, and yet she strives to protect them anyway and does things her own way. Unfortunately, when I actually read through it, it felt more like a soap opera dropped into a fantasy, and it just missed the mark on that advertising for me. Again, I just feel like it was mismarketed. Now, I have heard that the second and third books in the series do hold up to that marketing a little bit better, but with this being the introduction to that series and that marketing, and it not landing with that marketing, it makes it a little trickier for me to want to continue the series. Number 8 would be when I am completely immersed in the book. The plot is thickening, things are happening, the world around me doesn't exist until someone walks into the room and either starts talking to me or making noise, and I am just violently ripped out of my immersion. And I can't get back into it. I cannot, for the life of me, get back into that level of immersion that I had before I was ripped out of it. It's the worst feeling. It also doesn't help when you've been ripped out of that immersion, you're annoyed, you just want to get back to your book, and the person who has contributed to that event doesn't understand. That's probably the trickiest out of it. Number 9 would be more geared towards audiobooks in this case. and that would be a character voice being inconsistent throughout the audiobook. Either it's just not matching what it originally was chosen as at the beginning of the audiobook, or it sounds like other characters. And I know narrators, you guys put a lot of work into these audiobooks. It takes an enormous amount of skill to change voices and get that dynamic, but it still pulls me out of the reading experience and that immersion when I think character A is now character B just because their voice doesn't sound like character A anymore. And it just takes me out of the reading experience. And the final pet peeve, number 10, is when you're all geared to read. You've been waiting all day to pick up your book and you only have it in one format, and that is the ebook. And your e-reader, your tablet, what have you, is dead. And you need to wait even longer to plug in your device and charge it before you can actually start reading. That will get me every time, and I never ever learn my lesson. So that is my top 10 bookish pet peeves. They're in no particular order, at least I didn't put them in a particular order when I did this. However, I'm wondering, what do you think my top pet peeve is, just based on how I reacted while talking about it? I'd also love to know, what are your top 3 bookish pet peeves? Leave your comments down below. I love hearing from you. As always, thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.